Okay, this is college algebra chapter review, things that will be on the test. So the first thing obviously is adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomial functions. Please remember that when you square a binomial, you don't get another binomial. You get a trinomial. You need to be able to do synthetic division. Let's just go ahead and do this problem as a review. So remember, we just bring this down, multiply those, add those, 45. Yeah, I don't know what 47 times 3 is. Yeah, I just made this problem up, obviously. So then your answer would be written 4x cubed. Remember, it's one less than what you started with. And then you put the remainder over what you divided by. There's this big section on factoring completely. Remember, there's going to be certain things you're looking for. Is what you're factoring, is it a sum or a difference of two cubes? This is a sum of two cubes. This is a difference of two cubes. And remember, in your notes, you should have factoring those special sums or differences. Is it a difference of two squares? X squared minus 9 is a difference of two squares. 4x squared minus 16 is a difference of two squares. You factor this, 2x plus 4 times 2x minus 4. That also should be in your notes. Are you factoring trinomial squares? Remember, the way to tell is if you take half the middle term and square it, and you get the last term, this is a trinomial square, and that is x plus 5 squared. This is helpful if you're solving by square roots. Remember, that's also why we completed the square last block. And if you have 4 terms, look to see if you can factor by grouping. Please remember that you're always looking for a common factor first. There's a large section on solving polynomial functions. In other words, finding where the function is equal to 0. You could do that by graphing, by factoring, quadratic formula, all those methods that we've done. There's a section on stating all the possible rational zeros. Remember the rational root theorem. P over Q, where P are the factors of the constant and Q is the factors of the leading coefficient. Whoops, so sorry, knocked my camera off. So just a reminder, let's say we had 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. So all the factors of 6, 1, 2, 3, and 6, and all the factors of 2, which are 1 and 2. So your possible answers could be plus or minus 1 over 1, plus or minus 1 over 2, plus or minus 2 over 1, plus or minus 2 over 2, plus or minus 3 over 1. I didn't really give myself enough room here. Plus or minus 3 over 2, and plus or minus 6 over 1, and plus or minus 6 over 2. You don't, on problems that say this as the directions, all you have to do is list all the possible rational zeros. I think there's 2 problems where you have to write a polynomial function of least degree with given zeros. For instance, let's look at this one. Our zeros are 5, 6i, and 2. So remember that if this is a 0, then x minus 5 is the factor. If this is a 0, then x minus 2 is a factor. If this is a 0, then this is the factor. If one of your zeros is a pure imaginary number, which that one is because it doesn't have a real part in front of it, then the factor would be x squared plus whatever this is squared. And then you would just multiply these out to come up with the polynomial function of least degree with those zeros. So let's think about this. Remember, if you have an imaginary 0, they come in pairs. So if 6i is a 0, so is negative 6i. So you actually have, there's going to be two imaginary zeros right there, one there and one there. So this is a 4th degree polynomial. Okay, the second example is we have a rational number as one of our answers. So if 1 is a 0, then x minus 1 is the factor. If negative 1 is a 0, then x plus 1 is a factor. And then I want you to remember that if a 0 is in the form of the square root of b, and b is not a perfect square, this is not a perfect square, then the factor would be x squared minus whatever this is. So hence this. And then the very last question on the test is a cubic regression. And remember that we did that in class. You're going to do that strictly on the calculator. And that's it. I did take the opportunity to just go through the chapter review. And if you want to be super prepared for the test, there's 18 problems that you should do on the chapter review for chapter 4. All right.